Hi, I'm Gwen Schoen, and our Crafting Together project today is a decoupage picture frame, which is made with layering glued down pieces of paper onto an unfinished piece of wood. And in this case, it's a nice little unfinished picture frame that we painted and decoupaged over the top. But you can also do decoupage on metal and plastic and glass, so it's a nice medium to use when you want to create something that's pretty, very inexpensive and easy to do. For this project, I found an unfinished picture frame at a craft store, and I painted it with basic water-based craft paint. You could use it, leave it natural wood if you wanted, but I wanted it to be black with my pattern. Then I went to an office supply store and I made color laser copies of pages from an old wallpaper pattern book. And you could use anything for your paper pattern. You could use photographs or a calendar page, whatever you would like to use on your project, just as long as you make sure that it's color laser copy and not inkjet. The next step, after you've cut out the pieces that you want to use, is to add a thick layer of glue to the area that you're going to glue. And I just use basic white craft glue like Elmer's, and just add a nice thick, really thick coating. And it's going to dry clear, so don't worry about the fact that you have too much glue on there. Just spread it around with your fingers. And you could use a sponge for this, but I think fingers actually work a little easier. Then dip your piece of paper in water, and you want to let it sit in the water until it stops curling up. That means the paper has relaxed. After the paper is relaxed, just place it on your frame where you want it to be and gently smooth out any air bubbles with your fingers, and then proceed on to the next area, and then let it all dry thoroughly before you go on to the next step. Now, when you're adding layers of paper to your project, it's important that you glue down the first stage, let it dry, and then glue down the next step. So what we've done is added the frame part on, let that dry, and then added the flowers and the leaves and let that dry. Now that this has been sitting and it's all turned nice and clear, the glue's turned nice and clear, we're ready to go on to the next step, which is adding layers of varnish. And you can use any sort of polyurethane water-based varnish, and there are several that are made that you can find at craft stores. This one's called Triple Thick, this one is just DuraClear. They go on cloudy and then they dry clear. The important part is that you add it in a thin layer, let it dry, and then add another layer. It's much easier to do it in thin layers, do several thin layers rather than a thick one. So just brush it on. And if some products dry quickly, those you need to work with faster. That's why I like this thinner one best. And you just brush it on. You can, because it's cloudy, you can see where you've gone, and it sort of levels itself out as it dries, so you don't have to worry too much about it puddling or making streaks. And after it's dried, if you see some streaks, you can go back and sand it lightly with 400 grade sandpaper and smooth it out, and then add your next layer. Now, for my frame project, I added about 4 layers of varnish, and you need to let it dry thoroughly between each layer, and you'll know it's dry because it turns clear again. So this is a fairly simple project, and once you've practiced on a couple of pieces, you can go on and do something a little more complicated like a tray or a plate.